Well, hello, and welcome to Old People This Week. My name is Jeff. That handsome rascal right there, that's Mike, and we are your hosts. Every week we endeavor to bring you the stories behind the stories, the kind of stories that if you're over 60, you need to know going into the weekend so that you can sound smart with your friends when you're at the gym, when you're getting coffee, and of course at happy hour where Mike and I do our best work.
Our best work divining life's truths.
We were just at a happy hour last Friday, Mike and I.
Yeah, that was great. I love that. That could almost become a ritual.
Yeah, the sun was going down. It was nice out on the sort of the front porch of this restaurant, and it was just a nice evening. You were sipping down a couple of martinis, I noticed.
What a shock. What
I
a
was
shock.
sticking to wine.
Call the press.
I call the press. And what is the? I know what James Bond, how he likes his martinis. How do you drink yours?
Shaken, not stirred.
That's James Bond. What's yours though?
Mine, shaken, not vigorously shaken. Actually, I order it viciously shaken.
Is it gin though, right?
Oh, yeah, gin. And no fruit.
Is there vermouth in there?
Oh, God, no.
So
No,
it's
no,
just
no.
simply gin shaken up.
It's straight gin shaken up. And,
Yeah, and mine is straight gin over ice. We're going to be talking a little later about that crazy nut anti-aging guru Brian Johnson, who thinks he can live forever. But I can tell you right now, judging by the things that we imbibe, we're not of that living forever school.
no.
No, definitely not. To all of you out there, make sure you subscribe. It's very important. As I've said, Mike will send you a check, personalized check for $500 if you subscribe.
Individually, and it'll be drawn upon Jeff's retirement trust fund. So his children will suffer, but you will have a wonderful subscription experience.
Yes. Let them suffer, by the way.
Yeah.
And then also subscribe to our Substack. Check it out. You'll like it. The last week we talked about playing hooky. This week it's sort of you'll have to check it out. It's called Old School, but it's basically how to telling people that they should not ignore the advice of older people or aging people like us because we are frankly geniuses and it would be silly not to listen to us.
Yeah, and look where it's gotten us.
Yeah, right. I know. Let's begin today with our favorite topic, the world of the Golden Bachelor and the Golden Bachelorette. First up is the Golden Bachelorette. ABC announced that while the final decision hasn't been made, the leading candidates for this fall's Golden Bachelorette are Joan Vassos, 61, the private school administrator from Rockville, Maryland. Joan left early, and she was always a favorite of many people.
She's my number one candidate to get the gig.
Yeah.
If for no other reason than she had far less cosmetic correctional surgery done than anyone else. I mean, she looked very natural, very pretty, and I just think she's the strongest candidate.
Yeah, she was intelligent, nice looking. And the other finalist is Leslie Fema, 65, who was the Minneapolis personal fitness trainer who had Gary in the palm of her hand.
Yeah, remember she was the one who kind of equivocated on whether or not she would be willing to move and live with him. It was like, whoa, wait a minute. And Teresa was like, yeah, I'm all in, I'm going. Even though Gary wound up moving in with Teresa, apparently.
I know. Well, yeah, Leslie was sort of reticent during her visit with Gary's daughters on the home visit. And then Gary were in Costa Rica together. She wavered on her commitment to the relationship.
Yeah, well, he made her go down the waterfall under the water, and he roped down the dry side and was standing in the bottom waiting for her. I don't blame her.
Yeah, what a cad.
And
then, the final one is Faith, who was the high school teacher from Benton City, Washington, who was in the mix, also still in the mix. She was the third place finisher, eliminated only after the show's hometown dates. Faith is, I think Faith was the person or worked at a horse equestrian place.
Yeah, Benton City, Washington is a small, nice enough little town, but a tiny little town, kind of the middle of nowhere. So um, the her prospects of getting someone maybe to join her life in Benton City, Washington, might be a little slim.
We were speaking about Teresa being nominated for her People's Choice Award and sort of having some fun with that. But in Gary's case, they're pulling out all the guns. The show and Gary, ABC is making a definite attempt to get nominations for the show for an Emmy, which is the big leagues in the television world. They've taken out all kinds of ads, and then I get this Emmy magazine, and they put a special front on it with a picture of Gary. They called it history making and
Yeah.
incredible. And the ultimate, it just might make you believe in love again.
I'll never think of television the same way again. Ay, ay, ay.
I never even get why these companies want an Emmy other than for ego stroking, because unlike a movie when can get an Oscar and it boosts the box office of that
Yeah.
movie, with an Emmy, the show's generally done long ago and over with, and it's not going to come back around. So the idea of getting an Emmy actually making money for anybody, it's not the same thing. But they are on it. They want to get an Emmy, and they're after it desperately.
Well, your lifelong career in that industry, does an Emmy do anything for your resume? I mean,
No.
for the actor or actress or the people involved?
No, it doesn't do anything. If somebody came to me with their resume and it said Emmy award-winning producer on there, I'm not going to hire him just because of that, because they give Emmys to absolutely everybody, boneheads, by the way, who just happen to get jobs on the show. If you watch the Emmys, the reality show winners for a long time were like, say, like American Idol or Amazing Race won about 12 times. And then the Emmy goes to the entire, like 30 people that worked on Amazing Race.
Yeah.
And they all come on stage, they all have an Emmy. Well, that producer on Amazing Race may have been just a low level, make sure people show up on set on time, and they got an Emmy. So no, I don't think it does anything except for your ego and that. But I would, it would be a great award to have on my desk. I have a local Emmy, not a national one.
Yeah. Well, Susan Lucci got more notoriety for never winning one than for getting one. Right?
She lost about 40 times in a row every year, and it became such a sad thing. I would, in my recollections, they eventually gave her one.
Maybe I think they did. Yeah.
Just a
participation trophy.
Yeah, pity award. Here, have an Emmy. You've lost so many times. But and the people that she was losing to, it's not like she was losing to Meryl Streep either. She was losing to these unknown, soap opera actresses.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. We're putting The Bachelor and The Bachelorette behind us. This is a follow up on our story of a week or so ago, and about the anti-aging guru Brian Johnson. He's the guy, for everybody who may or may not recollect, who says that death is optional, and that he takes all kinds of pills, and he sucks the blood of his 14-year-old son, and measures his how many times how strong and how many erections he gets a day. He's a pretty crazy dude. Well, this columnist in the LA Times that I read, his name is Steve Lopez. He went out and did a story on him, and said that all that's fine and good, except that Johnson charges $333 a month for his line of supplemental products. So this is not an altruistic endeavor by Johnson. He's in it to make the dough, and he wants you to believe that by taking these supplements, you'll live forever.
And he takes like hundreds of them, right? I mean, a day. So
he says
it costs you $300 a month.
Yes, $333 a month. Johnson himself downs 100 or so supplements daily and performs 2 dozen exercises. He wears a T-shirt that says "Don't die." He eats something called nutty pudding, and this is the ultimate. He sleeps with a penis monitor to count his nighttime erections.
I'm leaving the room right now.
Wonder how many erections he gets every night. By the way,
And by the way, what a totally sexist approach to prolonging life. I mean, you'd
yeah,
think if he's serious about it, maybe he'd come up with a vaginal monitor so women could enjoy the same longevity prospects as he does.
you're basically thumbing your penis at women. He's really is an unusually nutty dude,
Yeah.
and he's not
From
going to live
eating,
forever. By the way.
not eating nutty buddy pudding.
No, you know what the. By the way, you know what the oldest person in the oldest that anyone ever lived.
I have no idea.
I'll tell you, it was a woman in France. She lived to be 122 years old.
Good
2
Lord.
years, and this guy thinks he's going to live forever. And he's trying to sell it to you like that. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Send me $333 a month, and I will tell you how you to live while you're still alive and not worry about living forever.
Yeah. Well, I don't, I don't really want to live long enough to look like he does either. I mean, he's one scary looking guy.
Yeah,
He's in
he's getting
probably good
scary.
shape, but he's scary looking.
Yeah, scary. When you're aging, the complaint from a lot of people of our generation is that people start to ignore you. They don't see you anymore. You're just a older person moving through next to them. Who cares? And no more important than how much money you can scam from them. But
You're just there. You're just there.
yeah, and how to there was a study that I read about that try to show how important it is to feel needed, respected, and purposeful when you're aging. And in this study, they took the residents of an old folks home, basically an aging home,
Yeah.
place where aging people live, and one group of residents were told that they could arrange their room furnishings however they wanted, decide for themselves which nights to attend a movie, and choose houseplants to keep and nurture. The second group of residents was advised that the staff would do everything for them, and their furniture was arranged. They were informed which movie nights to attend, and were given a house plant, but they was cared for by a nurse. After 3 weeks, almost all the residents in the first group experienced significant improvement in physical and mental well-being, whereas most participants in the second group declined or stayed the same. So basically, we need to control our own life, our own surroundings, and our own future.
Yeah. Resigning and letting someone else make all those, even the most minor decisions. I mean, that's a recipe for just checking out.
Yeah. Well, you don't let people do. You detail your own car. You do
Yeah.
you take control of your life. I take control of my life. I like to do things my way. I'm not going to have somebody come in and tell me what
Yeah.
to do. I'm not at that stage yet, and by that empowers me. So that's what we want from our aging friends, to feel empowered.
Yeah. My wife gives me hell because I clean the house before the housekeeper gets here.
Yeah. Yeah, so do we. Yeah, I know. We're on there washing dishes and cleaning, straightening up, and I said, "Why? What time is her name's Avelia? What time's Avelia coming over? Because we want to make sure we're done."
Yeah.
I think we. I think that.
Everything looks good for her.
Yeah, yeah, I think that we share Avelia, don't we?
We do. Yeah. We have the same housekeeper.
Yeah, Avelia might kick my ass if I don't have things properly ready for her.
Yeah. Yeah. She'd give you one of those looks like, what? You expect me to change that? Straighten
Yeah,
that up?
and there's things that Avelia is not going to do. By the way, I've been told by my wife.
Well, there are things
Avelia's not.
I tell her not to do because I want to do them
But
myself.
this just goes back to how we are, and we are masters of our own space, our own fate, and we don't need
Yeah.
anybody else to do that. Now, even if you're even if you are in a place, an assisted living home, say, you can still have that sense of control, and that's what I think we're
Yeah.
speaking of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last year, a regrettably named trend belched up from the dark cauldron of TikTok, and it's called bed rotting. Now, to rot is to spend the day under the covers, scrolling one's phone, napping, binging a show, staring at the ceiling. Some doctors praised the practice as a necessary form of rest. Others warned it could signal depression. Now, let me ask you, Mike, just from your general knowledge, do you think that there's any boomer of our 60 years old or more of our age and generation? Is there anyone of us that subscribes to bed rotting?
I mean, I can't imagine anything in my life interesting enough to keep me in bed all day doing it.
Yeah, sex maybe when we were younger, but
Well,
not
not
at our
now.
age. No, you got to
Not,
get up and you got to get going. But I don't
yeah.
think that anybody from my generation that I knew would have come up with a phrase like bed rotting, and let
No,
alone practice it.
it's a horrible term.
It's a horrible term.
Ugh.
So I'm making sure my kids who are of the other generations, Gen X, Gen Z, I'm making sure that there's no bed rotting going up in our family. I won't have it.
Yeah. Honey, what's that smell?
Yeah,
Oh, the kids are
that
bed
smells
rotting.
terrible. Yeah. Oh, I would have. If there had been any bed rotting going up when my kids lived at home, it would not have lasted very long. Bed rotting. Speaking of all younger generations and their poor choices, I was reading about a couple. This one happened to be a Los Angeles couple who collectively make over 200 grand a year, and they were trying to decide whether or not they should have children, and they asked themselves two questions. One, will we be able to invest as much time in our relationships that we currently have if we have kids? And number two is, if we have a kid, would we be able to live comfortably in LA and travel and retire with some ease? And they both said the answer to both questions was no, so they aren't going to have kids. Now, far be it from me to try to tell a young couple whether or not they should have kids or not. God knows I've had 4 kids, and it was the most, it is a trying and long, non-ending experience. But I was going to ask this of you. Did you and Mary consciously decide, say to yourselves, we're not going to have kids, or was it by some other circumstance?
No, we made a conscious decision and it had nothing to do with how special we thought we were to ourselves, which these arrogant asses seem to have decided. But at the time when we got together and we were in that period of our life when we could have kids, we were both traveling more than 80% of the time. We were never home. And there would have been no chance to have children, raise them properly, pay enough attention to them, be with them for all the important moments in life. It just wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And it was a tough decision for us because I love kids. I have nieces, I have their kids, and I've ruined them all. You know, they never hear the word no from me. It was a tough decision, and it's still tough when I'm around people who do have kids and I see that relationship. I wish it was one I had. But yeah, completely different reason.
Yeah, yeah. They're in my mind. I agree with you. They're being a bit selfish. Again, it's hard to try to pass my experiences on to someone else, but it seems like a tough decision. They made it by just asking 2 questions of themselves. So I hope they're comfortable with that decision, and I hope they're comfortable in their retirement and they can travel plenty, and they're going to miss out on the absolute benefits of having children.
Yeah, also, if they're making $200,000 a year and they can't figure out a way to invest or save enough or whatever on an ongoing basis, and they're worried about $200,000 a year and presumably more going forward, as being enough even for themselves, you have to ask how the hell are they living?
people with way less money have children and are able to make it work. And
Yeah.
so that it's money really isn't the excuse that one should use. I get personal reasons or the reasons that you had. I just don't get it based on money or those superficial things. You just don't want
Yeah.
kids just say it. Don't try to blame
Yeah.
it on how much
Yeah.
money you got in the bank.
Yeah.
Let's segue into. I sent you what I consider to be the Job of the Week award.
Oh my God.
The guy who cleans crime scenes. And I tell you, when I watched his Q&A on YouTube, it was interesting. That to those of you who don't know what we're talking about, there's a job. It's not just this guy, but there's people across the country and companies who will perform the service of cleaning up your home or your office or wherever after there's been a horrific crime. So it's a lot of cleaning of blood and guts and so on. And this dude who was on YouTube said that he did it, got into it after he watched the movie Pulp Fiction and saw the Harvey Keitel character come in and clean up after a crime scene.
Yeah.
And so he got into the business, and he says he makes tons of money doing it, and it's very lucrative for him. But what the one question was that came up was the one guy said, what is the grossest thing you see when you're out there? And Mike, tell him the answer.
Brains, dried brains with the consistency of concrete.
Yeah. So somebody's dried brains on the wall, and he complained about how hard things are to clean off of certain surfaces.
Surfaces, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. But
Yeah.
that's the job of the week.
I didn't understand the vetting process that he puts people through. I mean, it sounds like it's everything short of a full FBI background check just before they can come to work for him. And I didn't understand that at all. I mean, I guess you have to have a certain constitution to be scraping dried brains off the stucco, but
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, he made it seem like you had to have a double PhD and have traveled abroad extensively and speak 5 languages in order to do this. When what it looks like, I imagine his employee base looks a lot like the guys that come to your house that work for moving van companies.
Yeah.
If they show up sober or not high, that's a victory. Those kind of guys. So
Yeah.
I imagine these are the same people. At any rate, this goes to the end of this week's episode by talking about of course, the Dumbass of the Week award, who normally, as we've said, it's usually someone who is from the state of Florida. But last week they were from New Hampshire. If you remember, there was a woman in New Hampshire last week who decided to put things into one of those giant outdoor refuse containers and fell in herself and then got herself compacted 5 times before she staggered out of there, still alive but incoherent.
Oh, brother. I wonder how she's doing. I wonder if she's properly unfolded yet.
No, she's probably still incoherent. This guy, this really takes the cake. So he's a New York man, so he should know better. I mean, he was charged with smuggling 3 Burmese pythons in his pants across the U.S.-Canadian border. Now, first of all, you have to imagine one Burmese python. They're like 10 foot long. They're thick. They can swallow a pig whole. They're gigantic. And let alone 3 of them. And then putting 3 of these gigantic snakes into your pants, as nobody's going to notice, and trying to cross the border from Canada into the U.S.
Yeah.
On top of it, he is accused of bringing the hidden snakes on a bus that crossed into New York. So he's on a bus surrounded by people with 3 Burmese pythons and squirming around in his pants. And of course, they stopped the bus, they called the cops, and he was arraigned in Albany on federal smuggling charges. and is awaiting trial. Calvin Bautista. Calvin, I would recommend that you just plead guilty and don't try to explain the
No,
whole thing.
no. I'm
What?
trying to imagine that original moment when he said, "Aha, I'm going to put these in my pants and ride the bus." First of all, how could you walk with 3 Burmese pythons in your pants, for Christ's sake? I don't.
I don't even want to think about it. I don't want to think. I don't want to know why. Who was he bringing him to? Some exotic, maybe some exotic, you know,
Yeah. To
reptile
what
store
purpose?
where they're going to resell them.
Well, actually, he might have been headed to Florida with them because, nut jobs in Florida are turning him loose in the Everglades, and they're eating anything that moves now.
Mike, you have to get on to your rest of your
Golf
day, and
course.
I have to get on with mine.
Everyone take care. Remember, I will come bring you a check on Jeff's trust fund if you subscribe. It's very important. We get better with time and age. So stay tuned, subscribe, and you'll get more good news from us.
Yeah. Check out the Substack this week. Find out your task, take care of it, do the task, and then email us with the results at oldpeoplethisweek@gmail.com. And if you have any questions, comments, or if you want to ask why Mike's hair looks like the way it does every week, email us and we'll get back to you ASAP. Thank you all. Talk to you later.
Take
Bye.
care. Adios, everyone.